umpire, Tim McClellan, with the bat in his hand. Now they're going to measure it across home plate.
Well, I've never seen this.
I never have either.
I don't know what they're measuring. They might be going to call George Brett out.
Well, he's winning. He's out.
Yes, sir.
Brett is out. Look. Brett is out. And
Steaming mad.
he is out and having to be forcibly restrained from hitting plate umpire Tim McClellan. And the Yankees have won the ball game 4-3. Brett is called out for using an illegal bat. Or with the illegal substance on the bat.
Like I said, I have seen this before, Frank, and Gaylord Perry just took the bat away from home plate umpire Jim McClellan. He's going to take the bat. They're going to take it so they cannot take it into the American League office.
Baseball, we're on.
We?
We are, yeah.
Welcome to the Mr. Baseball Show. I am John Weeks, and along with John Hopwood, we're going to throw some baseball at you. And we have on the phone our
Peter
guest,
Stiller.
Peter Stiller.
Who refuses to tell us when he goes to work.
Yeah, well, we don't need to know that.
I do.
So, Peter.
Yeah, this is part of my leisure schedule. So, I'm raring to go.
Okay, good.
Well,
Another couple of weeks under the belt. Only 6 teams in the American League over 500. What do you think of that?
Well, it's like, there's a wide gap between the haves and the have-nots, which is, I don't think was the intent of, the most recent CBA or, any other thing that, baseball's tried to move towards recently. It's kind of reminds you of the old days, but that's kind of what it's come down to. You've got... Yeah, Seattle, Houston, the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Indians, and who else is over 500? I don't even know.
I think you named them, didn't you? Did you get all 6?
well, in the old days, you couldn't have somebody in the American League had to be up and another person down, but you got this incessant interleague play.
Oh, I know. I don't like it.
It should have just been in the summer like it was.
Yeah. What does it prove?
Nothing. I guess, they always were supposed to have a balanced schedule, and that went out with expansion, and it's ridiculous.
Well, you've got 15 teams in each league, so there has to be interleague play going on, or else there are 2 teams that aren't playing every day.
Well, why do we have 32 teams or 28?
Yeah, that would be rectified.
We once had a division with 6 teams in it and 4 because Bud Selig decided to take his team, the former Seattle Pilots, and put it back in the National League so he can compete with the Cubs. And to hell with everybody else. Symmetry or anything at all.
That's right.
Yes, so
And then,
we do our complaining at the beginning
the
of
American League got the Houston Astros after they were in the National League for 50 years about.
Oh, more than 50.
And so that's
Since
how
62.
you've got, your 15, 3-5-team divisions in each league now.
Well, it's idiotic.
It is.
Of course, they're probably going to, squash that. I think they'll probably end up adding another 2 teams, so you'll have 16 teams in each league pretty soon. And but I still think that they would keep interleague play in any event.
They will. Supposedly it supposedly the rivalries bring in attendance. I don't see it. The Yanks playing the Mets. Who cares?
Well, the Yanks playing the Mets is a rivalry, but the Red Sox playing Atlanta is a stretch because nobody talks about the Boston Braves anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't care about the Yanks playing the Mets. Yanks playing the Red Sox. Now, there's a rivalry.
Well, how many times do the two teams meet nowadays?
Well, approximately 19.
Flipping 19 a year,
Yes.
which is, probably one more than there should be. I don't know why they just don't have 18 a year.
So
And
they
then you
don't.
have 72 games in your division.
So you don't end up in a flat tie.
But, they have their own, the schedule is messed up, I will say that.
Right. Well, if you have 19 games and they play each other, one team has to have at least one more victory. So that way you don't waste time with a one-game playoff. And when you already have a one-game playoff coming, then the 3 of 5, then the 4 of 7, then the World Series. You don't need to tie up the schedule with these break-a-tie game. Not
Is
anymore.
that why they did that? So theoretically, the season series couldn't be tied 9-9 at the end of the year?
Well, when they did, whoever scored the most runs.
Right. So
yeah.
who's going to be the wild card and
Yeah.
advantages?
Yeah.
When they made more football, being American football, rather than the real football, which is World Cup is now in Moscow, but we're not going to talk about that. Even though you are Russian.
Hey,
Part
I
of the
got
deep
news for
state.
you. That game is soccer.
Football everywhere except the United States and Canada.
Well, guess
And
what?
Canadians
It
have their
was
own
soccer
football.
before it was football.
It's football.
Don't buy any of that BS about it being football.
Mr. Baseball, you'll have to pay for that.
That's a recent European development that they sort of like rebranded it as football, but it had been soccer for like decades and decades before.
decades.
They decided to, we're football.
They're football.
So let me put that BS to rest.
Do you want me to get into my Oxford University dictionary and find out, Peter? My phone's
Get you Oxford, Oxford University. Well, there you go,
I used to work for them in New York.
Did you?
Yes, and I'm going to say that football goes back to, let's say, 1788. I was at the Red Sox game with the...
1788.
Yeah, why not? I'll just pick out any old date,
Just
And
pick up a whole century.
we don't have an internet connection right now. Now, I was at a baseball game, Fenway Park, with the Honorable Joel Elber, and who should be sitting next to me but a woman from Stuttgart, Germany, where I had served in the military. And she told me that baseball reminded her of a game played in Germany by children, and the equivalent would have been rounders in Britain and in colonial America. So there is baseball. And when we were talking, I pointed out to her, which people don't realize, baseball is the only sport where the person scores, not the ball. Because most sports are a variation of...
It's a good point.
Are a variation of football or soccer or whatever you want to call it.
Very good point. Yeah,
You should
lacrosse, football, basketball, hockey.
I'm sure curling. You have to get that pot of tea down there somehow.
Absolutely.
And it's the broom doesn't score, right? It's that pot of tea or whatever the hell it is.
Well,
It is a pot, right?
Well, I'll tell you an interesting story.
Okay.
Now, my neighbor who dug me out of 2 nor'easters, and sweet gal.
In Maine.
No, right here, up where I live.
Oh, in Cal Hampshire.
Yeah, this past few months. At any rate, she called me over the other day. I have something for you. So she is very close friends with Bob Tewksbury.
And we explained to the audience who Bob Tewksbury is.
He was a major league pitcher.
And, was he with the
He
Cardinals?
pitched for the Sox.
Yeah,
I thought he was with the Cardinals, too.
he was with the Cardinals also.
No.
At any rate, he wrote a book called 90% Mental, which I wonder where he got that.
Is that Yogi Berra or Casey Stengel, your hero?
So he gave me a copy through her.
See the eyes of
yeah.
Casey?
It said, Mr. Baseball, stay on the
And
path.
the finish line,
of
Mr.
stupid."
Baseball, he said, and the other half is physical.
Yeah, but he didn't say that.
Is that what Yogi said? 90% is
I think-
mental, and
Yeah.
the other half.
This game is mental, and the other half is physical.
I think he said 90% of baseball's half mental. I think that's the way it was put. But at any rate,
Yeah, well, it might have been. Yeah, you're right.
But for Yogi Berra, Joe Garagiola would never had a career because that's all he did was tell stories about Yogi, who he grew up with in St. Louis, on the rubber chicken circuit, and that made his career.
yeah.
And then he was interviewing Paul and John of the Beatles on the Johnny Carson show. And what can you do?
Yeah.
They didn't even
Yeah,
know who he was.
unreal. Joe Garage.
Oh, I like Joe Garagiola. But
What's in his, another one of his lines, somebody asked him, how do you catch the knuckleball? And he says, I just wait till it stops rolling, and then I pick it up.
Actually, I think that was the other catcher,
who?
Mr. Baseball himself. Can't think of his name.
Oh,
Gary
Bob Uecker?
Sanchez?
Yeah, it was Euchre that said that.
Oh, Uecker said that. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was Garage, but maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Oh man, Peter had a calendar when we were working together in California, and it had all these baseball quotes. And the best one was from a pitcher. It might have been Kirby Higbee, who wrote the book The High Hard One.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, what is it? It was all the lingo more than like Eckersley, you know, like my heater wasn't working, and I came in with a high cheese, and then the chalk flies. Oh, what was it, Peter? The Sacks were drunk, and
Yeah,
and
and I throw a pitch, the stick flares when they're the other way. Chalk flies, 3 Ernies. Next thing I know, I'm sitting in the clubhouse soaking suds with the skipper.
no, so it was sipping suds with the clubby. We'll have to
Yeah.
find that quote. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, I wish I remember who was responsible for that.
could have been Kirby
particular
Higbee.
genius. But yeah, that was a great one.
Did Kirby Higbee, who was known for a headhunter, was he on Brooklyn?
Yes,
He was a country boy, right?
he was.
Yeah, one of those-
Pitched well for Brooklyn. Getting back to Garagiola for a second, he's one of 3 rookies to get 4 hits in a World Series game. The other 2 being Jacoby Ellsbury,
Your hero.
yeah, and Freddie Lindstrom way back in early 20s for the Giants.
Well, Freddie Lindstrom's a Hall of Famer. What team was he playing with, Garagiola? St. Louis?
Yeah, Cardinals.
So
That
he's
was
part of
against
the
the Reds.
Cardinals.
Was that the 64 series?
No, 46.
Yeah, remember Joe is born in 26. Was born in 26. I don't know if he's alive. Him and Yogi were contemporaries,
Yeah.
either 25 or 26.
Garage passed last year, I think.
Oh, no, really? He was in his 90s.
Yeah.
then.
Was he? I think he did, yes.
So did Yogi pass
Yeah,
recently.
he did. Yeah, he's no
But,
longer with us.
Too
Only-
bad. What would the Cardinals have been like, the 46, the Cardinals, if they'd had Yogi Berra?
Oh, well, if
Because
Well,
they...
geez, you know, what would any team have been like if Yogi Berra was their catcher for a decade? It's
Yeah.
pretty darn good, you know. I mean, you know,
But
for
from-
all the, Yogi was obviously an extremely fun character, but, you know, let's give credit where credit was due, you know. One of the great catchers.
Oh,
Definitely.
no question.
Most rings, 10 rings.
Yeah.
10 World Series victories. He beats Joe DiMaggio by 1, who was his teammate on at least would have been 47, and then 4 of the teams. But I bring that up because once the Cardinals got Stan the Man Musial, who when I was a kid was considered a god, you know, they always talked about Stan the Man. Great player, 3,600 hits, was it 475 home runs, you know, 331 career batting average. But they had a mini dynasty going from like 41 to 46, St. Louis. And then they had the drought to 64.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, just one.
Yeah, they
player.
did win between 46 and 64, right?
Right. Then
No.
they had another mini dynasty from 64 to 68.
Yeah. They did.
It's funny, and Stan the Man retired in '63,
Right.
and they go on to win the World Series.
Yeah.
I always think how terrible it was that Don Mattingly retires, and then the Yankees finally get into the World Series and actually win it,
Yeah.
because he certainly deserved a shot at a World Series. He was a great player.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like as soon as the Sox traded Nomar, they won the World Series. You know?
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah, when they unloaded him to the Cubs.
Who did they trade him for?
I don't
That
know.
was they got Orlando Cabrera and like a bag of balls, I guess.
Oh,
Was Cabrera?
It was Orlando Cabrera. Was it Doug Mankiewicz?
Mankiewicz came from
A couple
Minnesota.
of guys came over who were key pieces.
Yeah, I think
And,
Cabrera came from Montreal.
Then, like, in Nomar, just like, he went to the Cubs, and, you know, he started juicing, if he wasn't juicing already. And,
heard
you know,
it.
then it all fell apart, like, literally.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he hit, like, a swinging bunt, and he stepped out of the batter's box to run to first base, and his scrotum exploded, basically. He was probably never the same guy, but he wasn't really never the same guy after he hurt his wrist, I remember.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll tell you what, that looked like when I was out in California. Like, remember Mark McGuire had a terrible ankle injury, and it seemed like he was through. But he'd always openly, used steroids, but he pretended it was just drinking, a kind of
Right,
drinking,
yeah.
rather than being injected, which everybody at the time, the sports writers, knew. But it actually saved his career, and he went on. It had been sad if he was always such a good guy. He gave 10% of his income to kids' charities and other stuff. Everybody loved him. It's sad when somebody like that, or Bobby Bonds, one of the greatest players in history, and Clemens, one of the greatest players in history.
Not Bobby, but Barry.
Yeah, Barry.
But,
Barry
the
Bonds.
difference between
Bobby was a very
McGuire
good
and
one.
Bonds was that, like, nobody liked Barry Bonds,
Not even his his wife.
He just, like, he just made his living being a major
Yeah.
cavity,
I asked-
but, yeah, McGuire was pretty well liked, but
Oh, yeah.
hey, that was the culture at the time, especially like when your teammate is Jose Canseco, who was he was basically the poster boy for that sort of thing, and him and McGuire were pretty tight, and so
they used to get
and the
shot
rest,
up.
as they say, is history.
Well, you'd left by the time the Balco thing came out. Balco was right there on 101, Peter, right near Foster City, right San Mateo, that area. Did you know that? It used to be. Remember they had those massage parlors that offered a deep tissue massage. They caught Jerry Rice there once, but the cops let him go because he was Jerry Rice. And I was just here for a deep tissue massage, but I guess you'd go get a deep tissue massage and the Joy Juice,
Yeah.
But when Barry Bonds came to the Giants, I asked my father, who was always his boyhood a National League fan. He said, "You're getting the best player in baseball," and we did. But he just couldn't stand not being the best. And when he juiced, my God, he went from like 49 dingers to 73. It was ridiculous.
How many MVPs do you have?
That
think
was,
he's seven.
Which is-
and
yeah, they used to always be you only
Bonds
got
was
three.
already the best player in baseball.
And he'd already won
and,
3 MVPs.
The fact that he decided he needed to juice was just like
Ego.
so, arrogant, it was just, and
From what
in a sense he's gotten what he deserves, I'm not sure if any of these guys are ever going to get in the Hall. I don't know. It's going to, maybe the next generation of sports writers are just going to.
Bonds and Clemens.
They ruin their reputation, and for what,
Well, Bonds and Clemens, they already were Hall of Famers. And I'll say something about pitchers. Human growth hormone.
Oh,
that,
yeah, I
it
remember.
really
It's
helps
just
them
like when,
recover from injuries.
Clemens left the Sox and
he was-
Dan Duquette's famous twilight of his career. And then he, turns up the next year in Toronto, and he looks like, a flipping linebacker.
Yeah, Jimmy Williams.
And,
Jimmy Williams is the manager of the Red Sox. Said he could tell he was juicing.
Yeah.
So then he went and won 4 more. He won a Cy Young with Toronto,
With
3
the
with the
Yanks,
Yankees,
and one with
Houston.
Houston. Yeah.
But I got to give pitchers
and,
the things that happen
yeah.
to pitchers.
You know, there's another guy.
If you gave,
But he has all his sons whose names start with K, and they're coming up through the system, and hopefully they won't make the same mistakes Dad made.
well, they might go the way Pete Rose Jr. did, but
They're playing well, those boys.
I tell you,
Clarence.
yeah, go ahead, Peter.
No, it's just they are playing well, and I don't think have any of them come up to the bigs yet, Mr. Baseball?
No.
I don't think so quite, but I think they're on the cusp.
One came up to right here, the Fisher Cats in Manchester.
Oh, that's right, but that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah. And none have made the majors yet. There are two of them that are doing well, very well, hitting, and I don't know if the oldest one is still pitching, but I think there are three of them that played minor league ball.
Yeah, there's three of them.
Yeah.
But well, so what do you think? It's like very little has changed in the AL East. It seems like it's I don't know what's going to take for either of those teams to get some separation. What do you think, Mr. Baseball?
I don't know. I'm a little perplexed. I don't see the other teams really improving. Baltimore, you can just forget them right now. Kansas City, forget it.
Everything's up to date in Kansas City.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay, they're going to knock off a good club here and there, but they're not going anywhere.
That's a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah, and I think it's the Yankees, if they go out and get a frontline pitcher, they're going to be there.
But at
And
what cost?
The Red Sox right now have the best pitching. My God, Wright lost 1-0
Yeah.
the other day in Seattle.
Well,
But that's going to happen.
you know by July 31st, the Yankees are going to make some sort of splash,
Splash!
It just depends on what they're willing to give up,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Their farm system is not real. You can edify us on this, Mr. Baseball. I'm not sure if they have a whole lot of prospects to give up if they wanted to.
They do.
Am I right with that?
They do, and Torres is down with, I think, Columbus, along with Tyler Austin. So those two are going to be trade bait.
Mr. Baseball, what does Miami have to offer, along with eating a lot of the salary? Any good pitchers that they could ship
They have one good
north?
pitcher that I would love to have.
As
but
the unofficial farm team to the New York Yankees, like the old Kansas City Athletics, what do they have to offer to the Yankees?
they don't really have anything. They're not a good ball club. But they make
Maybe
a...
they should
Yeah.
have traded Giancarlo Stanton for something more substantial.
Well, who's going to pick up that salary?
Well, they ate at most of it.
Well, I know they... No, not most of it, but they ate some.
Well, it was
But he's
more than
got a
some.
9-year contract now. Where's he
And how's
going?
he doing?
It's going to be another Ellsbury.
How is Mr. Baseball, Giancarlo Stanton, doing?
He's mediocre. Yesterday he got 4 hits in the last game.
Any dingers?
Yeah, he got a nice dinger. And oh no, I'm sorry, it was off the wall.
Oh,
Hard line drive.
Round real double?
No, it was off the wall, and I think they held him to a single. But he had 4 hits, including a double that drove in a run.
Oh.
But so he got 4 hits. He's over 250 now, climbing.
Lusty 250, hard 250.
Yeah, well,
you know, for
there's
his
so
40
many-
million bucks.
So many of them down around 200 on every team.
We'll have to do something about that.
Yeah,
Maybe they ought to visit 101 up near San Mateo.
toss them underhanded.
Deep tissue massage and a
Well,
some
whatever
joy
it takes.
juice.
Get them out of the doldrums.
Any
Hey,
final
what do you
words?
think these baseball franchises are going to be worth once there's legalized sports betting in every state? You know?
I don't know.
That's something that's kind of crossed my radar recently. It's just like it's just gonna they'll probably at least double in value, and you know, and then maybe there won't be such a gap between the haves and have-nots. Who knows? But you know, it's going to be kind of interesting to watch.
Well, that's another subject we can bring up on another Mr. Baseball show, but we've only got about a minute and a half. Now, I got a question for both of you. Let's see who answers it first. Can I get the camera? If Jesus is the answer, or Jesus, what's the question?
Who is Maddie and Philippe's brother?
There you go. Oh, but it's like Jeopardy. You forgot a vital part, so bzz.
Boog Powell.
No, it's Alou. You have to say the last name.
Well, Boog Powell changed his name because he didn't want to be known as Boogaloo.
He changed it to Jesus?
Oh,
Jesus?
to Boog Powell.
This the baseball.
Come on, don't ruin the joke.
We'll see
There-
you
in
at
other words, there are 4 Alou brothers.
we will see you at the North End Bistro
Yeah.
at Elm Street in Myrtle tonight
All right.
to
sounds-
test your claim that that's the best hamburger in
Not only
Queen
the best
City.
hamburger, the best food in the city. We have the 2 greatest chefs. They're twin brothers, Andy and Chris. Oh, my goodness.
I hear you have the best Brussels sprouts.
Oh, no question about that.
Yes, one of the
Appetizer.
regulars at the radio station actually levitated after eating them.
Oh, really?
But that's another issue altogether.
Another show.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, it's just like those sprouts. You know, I think they're probably excellent, and you know, levitation might result. But hey, go in and get your free burger, Hop.
Okay, adios to you, Mr. Stella, and it's up to Mr. Baseball to get us out of here.
All right, Cindy, pour me a beer. I'm heading to Billy's Sports Bar. Keep swinging, folks.
Bye, Peter.